Shalom, people. So, in my last video, I talked about, what did I talk about? Oh, the last part of my last video was talking about how, Abba Yah hears all of our prayers. It doesn't take, special garments or incense or nothing, none of that in order for him to hear us. And I want to give you, a testimony of when I was, a babe in Christ. That happened to be, this is a real story that happened to me. So I was living with my best friend and her fiance at the time in a one-bedroom apartment. So I was literally sleeping in the living room. I was homeless when I met her, so she took me in, and we went to a church that offered 5 a.m. prayer. And when I first met her, she had lupus. And yes, I said had lupus. And during this time, she would have periods where she would be severely sick. So this one particular morning, we were supposed to go to 5 a.m. prayer together, but she wasn't feeling well. So she said she was staying home, but I purposed in my heart that I'm going to get to this church and I'm going to worship my Father with the other believers that meet there. Now, the apartment that we lived in was off. It was on this road that was off from the main road where the bus was. So you had to walk like a mile, it seemed like, from our apartment to the main road. This is 5 a.m. It's dark. It's in the west side of Atlanta. It's in what's considered the hood. It's the SWATs, actually. Or it's actually near the SWATs. I don't know if that particular area was the SWATs or if it was just going into the SWATs. But anyway, so needless to say, it was an area where, it wasn't too savory, especially at 5 a.m. for me to be by myself. So as soon as I stepped out of the front door, I just said, "Father, be with me." And I walked through the parking lot to the sidewalk. And as I started walking, out of nowhere, this man came walking up next to me. He looked like he was in his early 50s, looked like he had on like a mechanic's jumpsuit. And it looked like a lunchbox and some other stuff in his hand. And he just started talking to me. And it surprised me because, one, where did he come from? But two, I wasn't scared. I was actually relieved that he was there because I was scared to walk down this dark street in the hood by myself. I mean, I prayed, but I was like, okay, Lord, I'm finna do this thing. And he started walking with me, and he talked to me the entire time. Well, he was going to work, so he had to go towards the airport. The bus going towards the airport was on the side of the street where we already were. I was going to my church, which was in the opposite direction, so I had to go across the street to wait for my bus to come. Well, while I'm standing there, the bus that he said he was getting, the bus to the airport, to the train station, came first. So I looked over, and with it being 5 a.m., it's dark outside, so the lights on the bus, you could see everybody who was getting on the bus and where they were sitting and everything. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching these people load onto the bus. And I noticed that I didn't see him get on. So I'm like, okay. The bus pulls off and there's nobody at the bus stop. And I didn't see him get on the bus. And it was in that instant that tears started welling up in my eyes, because I knew that Yahuah had sent an angel to walk me to the bus stop. Especially how he just came out of nowhere and I was comforted by his presence instead of alarmed. I didn't have on a headscarf like this. I didn't bow 7 times before I left out. I didn't have a specific color garment on when I said that prayer. I simply stepped out of my front door and said, "Father, be with me." And he sent his angel to guard me. And I'm not even talking about a person that he put on their heart, go walk with her. I'm talking about a bona fide, genuine angel. That man was not a person. He was an angel. I sat and stared, and I think something in me already knew it, which is why I was staring to see him get on that bus. He never got on that bus. And even if he had turned around and walked away, I would have seen him walking down the street. That man was not there anymore. So I just want to reiterate to you, God hears your prayers. Don't let nobody tell you you got to go through this ritual for him to hear your prayers. Don't ever let nobody tell you that your prayers have not been heard by him because you didn't do a specific ritual. Don't let them fool you. Don't be deceived, brethren. All right, let me go because I got to feed my son. But I love you guys. Shalom.